Hi there, my name is Sylvia Brinded-Puls. Welcome to today's workshop. We're going to be talking about how to prevent, recognize, and act upon grooming and sexual abuse to keep our children safe. And I just want to mention that I forgot to press the record button in the beginning. So you'll hear someone talking like in the middle of the sentence. But after that, I repeat what I had not recorded in the beginning. It's just a couple of minutes. But just so you know, you're prepared for what's coming. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can email me at info@aplacetobe.me. If you see this on our unparenting community, you can leave a comment. If you see this on YouTube, you can leave a comment. Please follow us and subscribe to our social media accounts. And if you know me in person, just message me on WhatsApp if you have any questions or feedback, or you'd like to get in touch, because we're going to continue keeping this group alive to build like a safe bubble for our children and our community. So enjoy the workshop and let me know if you have any comments or thoughts. Enjoy.
25 years ago was worse. So there was a lot. There's a lot of authorities measures being put it out, but don't think that is not a thing that it doesn't happen here. Unfortunately, the sex tourism is really real and it happens a lot here. There's some areas where it's more pronunciated. Camarlobos, Caleta, I never heard about it, but more in the considered poor areas.
Yeah. Okay.
But it diminuted a lot, but still happens. Okay, so it's a thing that should the people should be aware of.
Yeah.
And it's more related to sex tourism. Okay.
Yeah.
What does it mean, the sex tourism in Madeira?
Tourists come just for that specific reason. There must be
for sex tourism for children or for women. I mean,
for children. It must be for children, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yes. So then the poorer areas
So
of
how does
Madeira.
it work? So a person like, for instance, from London is coming here for 2 weeks, and what? He's going to the playground? I want to
Well, if
understand,
it's sex tourism, I suppose there must be somebody here, or even exactly, they must gather kids into a mansion, a villa, and then they invite tourists to come there. I mean, we had that in Mexico. We spent
like,
yeah.
I'm super triggered, to be
Yeah.
honest, and that's why I was thinking even with Camila, because she, how we are like dividing who is here. I'm like, I think I need to be here because I'm very protective, and I know that I need to be two girls. And yeah, it's like so sad that it's happening still in this month. Yeah, we need to be uncomfortable for our kids to be comfortable. Yeah, I think this is the thing. Uncomfortable with the workshop and thinking about this topic. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I mean.
Yeah. It's like 3 years ago, we went to Mexico. We spent 4 months there. And we rented an Airbnb within a hotel complex. And there also we found out that the owner of the whole complex was in prison for pedophilia. And just I don't know how many years before we arrived, he was having the sex tourism. The people would come there and they would abuse children. And his brother was still living there, and we actually met him, and he asked me if he could hold Bo. I didn't know that he was also a pedophile then. Luckily, I didn't let him hold Bo. But there was another person who was grooming Lima, who was starting to touch her head and her shoulder and befriending us. And yeah, he was always in the pool when we were there. His apartment overlooked the baby pool. And I had to set a boundary with him because he went into the pool with Lima. She had just started to learn swimming. And it was like the next day that she had learned to swim. I was breastfeeding Bo. She was 2 months old by the pool. And he jumped in with Lima and kind of wanted to hold her. And I was like, there's no need. Like, I kind of freaked out. I didn't know how to react because I hadn't done this workshop yet. And it's just this, that you feel uncomfortable telling people, you know, don't touch my kid. You don't want to offend. You don't want to come across as neurotic or paranoid. and then that might be denial, like, no, it's like he wouldn't do that in front of me, but they count on that. We're going to go through that in a minute as well. But it was really horrible to hear this story, and I didn't even know that exists here. But that's, I mean, what we're starting here is something to maybe uncover this or prevent it. The more we spread this, the more we learn about it, the better we can prevent. And I just realized I have just started the recording a few minutes ago. So I'm just going to quickly repeat the facts and numbers that I said in the beginning, so that everyone who just started watching the recording will know about this. So 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 6 boys are being sexually abused. Most don't tell, or at least not immediately, but later in life. 70% of all sexual abuse cases, including adults being assaulted, happen under the age of 17 years old. Then sibling abuse and other older children is very high. It's 1/3. There's normally a 2 to 3 year gap between the kids. Most sexual abuse of children occurs in a residence, typically that one of the victim or the perpetrator, because 85 to 90% of the abusers are known to the child. 96% of the abusers are heterosexual men. Doesn't mean they're pedophiles. They just find it easier to target kids because they're weaker. You know, they can manipulate them. They can threaten them easier and control them. And also important to know, 95% of the perpetrators were abused as children. So it's not like any of our children will someday maybe turn out an perpetrator. Most of them have been abused themselves, and that's where they do it now. Okay, now we're going to go into what they're looking for. So the perpetrators, they look for vulnerability, that they're not educating, the parents are not educating their kids correctly. They're probably feel uncomfortable talking about sex and sexuality and genitals. So instead of calling the vagina, they say maybe cookie or something else. And instead of a penis, it's a willy or a wiener or something. Very often it's names of food for some reason, just to make it cute. But I read a book a few years ago about how to teach kids about sexuality, and this woman, she went into schools all the time to teach the kids, and she kept it very rational and said, okay, let's think like a scientist. And so how does the baby get into the womb, for example? And she explained it the way it is, for the appropriate age, so they would understand it. But one thing that struck me as well was that kids who know this, who are educated about their genitals and their bodies and their sexuality, they don't get abused. I remember that. It's not 100%. Of course, there's always, the risk that it does happen, but it reduces the risk immensely if the kids are educated. So other vulnerabilities are a lack of confidence, that the kids are insecure and they don't have many friends. They maybe introverted. I mean, introverted is not a bad thing, but if then the lack of confidence comes with it, then they're more vulnerable. The kids might keep secrets, and that's another thing that we're going to talk about later. That if one of the parents says to the kid, "Come on, let's go have an ice cream, but we don't tell mommy," or something like that. So if one parent does that too much, the kid thinks it's okay to keep secrets, and then they're more vulnerable to perpetrators who might use this. They very often have a physical disability, the kids, or the perpetrators look for kids with physical disabilities. It happens a lot with centers where there are kids that are disabled. Then they look for kids who are expected to obey. So if the kid never has a say at home or in school or with in the family, if they always say, "Because I say so," or you listen to your grandpa, now you're going to be with the nanny, do everything she says. If you're expected to obey, then it makes them vulnerable too. And then perpetrators report that they look for passive, quiet, troubled, lonely children from single parents or broken homes that easily trust people. And then another thing is that anybody could be a perpetrator. They don't have anything like physically sticking out, or they're from a certain country or background. Anybody could be a perpetrator and anybody could be a victim. Are there any questions about this right now?
Sorry for playing with Gaia, but I'm entertaining the cards.
Yes.
I have a question. Actually, you answered about like naming the genitalia.
Yeah.
Like using words like from food or whatever, other than like straightforward, like this penis, this vagina. Interesting. Is it like a research done that
Yes.
I actually I can be transparent. We say it like as it is.
Yeah.
But this is like to understand why it's
Yeah, it's because they don't know about sexuality. They don't know that no one's supposed to touch them there. No one ever talks about it. And if they see it as food, the perpetrator can use it and say, I'm going to eat your cookie or something. Yeah, I don't know exactly why this is now that you raised this question, but studies show that, and people who have talked with perpetrators about this found it out that way by them telling them.
What I feel is that it's not even about the naming, it's about maybe the people, the parents who are shy to speak about this stuff. They just use it just to forget about all the topic. But even if they will say like, oh, it is your cookie or whatever, nobody can touch it. It's your thing. It's whatever. So maybe this way would be successful in like preventing the children, other than just, oh, this is your cookie, don't worry.
Yeah, the thing is, like, why do they do it? They just feel uncomfortable talking about it. They would say, this is the elbow, this is your nose, this is your ear. They don't call the ear, the nose, or the elbow something else, just the genitals. So if the kids pick up on this, there's something weird and like maybe, I don't know, scary, disgusting, whatever it is, uncomfortable talking about it, they pick up on it, and then the shame is included. So if they're being abused, there'll be shame around telling that. I think you had a question, Katarina? No? Okay, then I continue. We're going to go into what's grooming. So it starts with friendship. It goes into rewarding the kid, to secrets, and then touch. So they build a relationship. They build a relationship most of the times with the parents first, so they trust them. Then they start building a relationship to the child by becoming their friend. They might make them gifts all the time. They might say things, yeah, I'm your friend, or you're my special friend, or they say, I'm always here for you. They might say, I see you're a bit troubled. You can always talk to me and listen. And they give them something that they usually don't have. So the kids who don't have a strong bond relationship with their parents, and they can't talk to their parents about everything, then there's this person super nice to you and saying, I can tell this person everything. There is a bond, a relation, a friendship building. They start with subtle touches, like the person in Mexico, head, shoulder, back, nothing in the genital areas, but that's how they get the kid used to being touched by that person. Also, when you hear somebody saying things like, you're so cool, like we would normally not say that to a kid, like you're so cool, maybe your clothes look cool or something, but you are cool, or you're my special friend, or you're such an amazing young woman. That's something that somebody said to my daughter Lima. She's 6, she's not a woman. They kind of sexualize the kids, they make them more mature, they give them this feeling of, oh wow, I'm a woman. Like little girls want to be big girls. So if somebody says you're such an amazing young woman, and that combined with the stroke, it's a red flag. We have that happening here at home. So it happened right here on this table. That if this is the table, the person was sitting here and Lima there, and I was right next to Lima. Rob was opposite Lima, and the guy said, "Oh, Lima, what I wanted to tell you, you are such an amazing young woman." And I was a bit like, okay, kind of sweet, but like he said, I don't know, he's right in front of me, it can't be anything. For me, there was a lot of denial and yeah, a lot of denial. Rob afterwards told me that he was screaming inside. Like Rob has very good intuition, but and maybe you don't even need that good of intuition. Maybe it was just me who was not completely blind to it, but kind of pushing it aside. Then she was sitting on the sofa later and he sat next to her and touching, like arm against arm, leg against leg. There was no space between them. And again, I was like, okay, that's a bit weird. But again, I didn't know how to interfere, and I didn't think somebody would do this in front of me. We all think they're gonna, you know, wait outside the school with lollipops, or they do this hidden, but no, they do it right in front of you. So you think you can trust them, and they're just nice to your kids. Yeah, we did actually call him out on it later, because there were some other signs, and we're going to talk about this, how to approach this, how to say. What they do then is they start separating the kids from the adults. They offer the victim special attention. They give them understanding and a sympathetic ear. They give them maybe rides. They're very extremely overly helpful to the parent. They say they babysit for free. They say, oh, come on, you need a break. I'll take her to the park. I'll take her, I don't know what, to somewhere else, and I'll pick her up, and you don't need to pay me. And like, they're really overly concerned about the parents. Yeah, special attention. Yeah, they might play games with the kids a lot. Like I see our kids want to play with us all the time. Sometimes we play with them, sometimes we don't. But if a parent never has time for the kid, and then there's somebody who plays with them, they, you know, love that attention. They provide them with gifts or other special treats that the parents don't give to the children, or and really random occasions, like the parents might give them, you know, for their birthdays and Christmas and Easter or something, but they just bring them gifts all the time. And then another thing is they start with seemingly innocent secrets, like like let's say the nanny is a perpetrator. The person might say, okay, I'm not supposed to give you ice cream, but I'm going to give it to you anyway because I don't think it's fair. I'm having ice cream and you're not, but that's our secret. And then they get into, okay, yeah, that's nice of the person, and the kids start learning to have secrets from their parents. Then at some later time, they might show them either pornographic images, nudity, pornographic videos, and that's how they get into there. And then they start with the touches, and they start controlling the relationship by saying things like, okay, if you tell somebody, you're going to be in trouble, I'm going to be in trouble, or your parents are not going to believe you, and you're a troublemaker, or you know, we've been keeping so many secrets, I'm going to tell your parents. And they start threatening and manipulating in many ways, so that the kid is scared to tell the parents about this. Any questions?
So basically, we should like encourage children all the time to say, like, there's no secret, you can always tell us about everything, there will be no anything.
Yes.
You share with us.
Yes, we're going to go through this now. Any questions from you online? No? Okay. So how to prevent? That's we're going to get into this now. So